In this video, we will talk about how liquid damage can completely destroy even a premium keyboard. I'll show you what to do if you accidentally spill your favorite drink on it, take a look inside the keyboard to see what really happens, and finally figure out whether it can be repaired or if it's already beyond savings. So move your drink a little further away from the keyboard and let's get started. Hi everyone, today on the bench is wireless keyboard Corsair K65 Plus. This keyboard came to me with no power issue. That is the only information I have. So let's take a closer look, figure out what went wrong, and see whether this keyboard can be repaired. Let's get started. Okay, let's check power consumption. What do we have here? And here we have, well, actually, I don't know, like 115 milliamps, 120. Looks like it's charging. However, it doesn't show any signs of life. So I assume that there's a problem with power line. Let's take it apart and see what we have on the PCB. This is some kind of antenna, and this is a battery, or what is this? Yeah, this is a battery. Okay, we'll disconnect the batteries for now, and disconnect the antenna as well. Okay. Now we can check if the battery is actually charged or not. So let's see, multimeter. Here we go. And we have 2.6 volts, which means that the battery is in deep discharge state. I guess its nominal voltage is 3.7 volts, and fully charged should be 4.2 volts. 2.6 volts, this is probably cannot be recovered safely, but I'm not sure. During the first look, it was clear where the keyboard does not work. The corrosion is seen even without microscope. The inspection with microscope showed how drastically it was. This is how liquid damage looks like. So the components typically manifest as corrosion, white or green residue, oxidation of solder joints, and short circuits caused by conductive liquid residue. While the components themselves, like caps or resistors, often survive, the solder pads, traces, and connections are highly vulnerable, and so they often require meticulous cleaning with isopropyl alcohol, at least. I decided to clean the corrosion a bit to better see the condition of the pads and contact pins, but the more I cleaned, the less keyboard there seems to be. missing capacitors were not knocked off mechanically. Due to corrosion, the solder joints became weak over time and the components eventually detached on their own from the keyboard PCB. However, the main problem is the IC pins, which are completely corroded, meaning the chips require replacement. Unfortunately, those components cannot be replaced because they cannot be identified. The manufacturer used proprietary unmarked components, preventing reverse engineering of the schematic and effectively making repair impossible. Elements such as capacitors and inductors should be replaced also. They cannot be left in this condition. Okay, I do not have schematic or board view for this keyboard, so the only way to analyze it is by visually dividing the PCB into functional areas. Based on layout, component placement, and routing, the board can be clearly divided into three main sections. The first area is located at the top of the PCB. This section is responsible for power input and battery charging. Here we can see a USB-C connector, a lithium battery charging IC supporting power management components. This area handles charging the internal battery and supplying power to the rest of the board. The second area is on the left side of the PCB. This section is responsible for wireless communications, specifically Bluetooth and communications with the USB transmitter. In this area, the main wireless IC can be identified. The antenna is directly connected to this circuitry, and because the chip is identifiable and the antenna routing is obvious, it is safe to say this area handles all wireless functionality. Area number 3 is located at the bottom of the PCB. This is the most critical section and most likely contains the keyboard, microcontroller, key matrix control circuitry, a separate external flash memory chip used to store firmware. From a design perspective, having firmware stored on a separate flash chip is convenient because in theory it allows firmware to be read or programmed using an external programmer. However, there is a major problem here. All ICs in this area are completely unmarked. No part numbers, no logos, no identifiers. Without knowing the exact chip model, it is impossible to source replacements, making proper repair unfeasible if these chips are damaged. Why liquid damage is usually fatal? Well, liquid damage almost always affects this bottom area first. The bottom of the keyboard is physically lower than the rest of the device. So any spilled liquid naturally flows downwards and accumulates there. As a result, MCU pins corroded, solder joints weaken, internal chip damage occurs. Once corrosion reaches these unmarked chips, repair becomes impossible, even if the firmware flash itself is still readable. And as you can see, in this case, this keyboard simply cannot be repaired. It would require replacing multiple critical chips, and even if I manage to read and restore the firmware from the flash, I still cannot replace all the missing components, the corroded pads, and the unmarked ICs. This is unfortunately one of those cases where liquid damage goes too far, and replacement is the only realistic option. This is it for today's video. I hope it helps you better understand what happens when liquid enters a modern keyboard and how quickly the damage can become irreversible. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support truly inspires me to keep making high quality repair content. See you in the next video. See ya!